Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Satma Bando Mui Savadana Mate Bando Mui Savadana Mate Japara prasare vai ei bhavatoriya jai Japara prasare vai ei bhavatoriya jai Krishna prapti hoi jai Krishna prapti hoi jate Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chittete Koriya Haikya Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chittete Koriya Haikya Arna Koriya Humane Asha Arna Koriya Humane Asha Shri Guru Charane Rati Ese Uttama Gati Shri Guru Charane Rati Ese Uttama Gati Jai Prasade Pure Hitavasha Jai prasade pure sarvaha Chakudam dilo ye janme janme Prabhu se Chakudam dilo ye janme janme Prabhu se Divya Gyan Hridre Prakashito Divya Gyan Hridre Prakashito Prema Bhakti Yaha Hoite Avijja Vinasuyate Prema Bhakti Yaha Hoite Avijja Vinasuyate Vede Gai Jahara Charito Vede Gai Jahara Charito Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Haramachandara Bandhu Haramachandara Bandhu Lokanath Lokera Jivana Lokanath Lokera Jivana Ha ha Prabhu Kora Jaya Deyamore Parachayo Ha ha Prabhu Kora Jaya Deyamore Parachayo Epeya Shushu Tribhuvana Epeya Shushu Tribhuvana Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavana Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavana Jaya Prabhupada 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 Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada 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 Srila Prabhupada Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare
Shri Srimad Jivangrace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON Deviti Founder Charja Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Astottara Sata Shri Srimad Jivangrace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaur Bhakta ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadip Mayapur Dham ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Jamuna Mai ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Srimati Tulsi Devi Maharani ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Brihat Mridanga ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jilan Yatra ki jai. Gaur Premanande Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. So this is reading some Prabhupada nectar. If one can fast, that is tapasya, Prabhupada said, but it should not be artificial. Just like Raghunath Das Goswami, he was fasting, but he was not just fasting. People fast artificially and become weak and cannot work. That is not required. If you fast and at the same time you do not become weak, then that is recommended. And if after fasting you cannot do service, then what is the use of fasting? Raghunath Goswami was fasting, but he was thrice taking bath and offering obeisances hundreds of times. His regular activities were not stopped, and he was taking every alternate day a little quantity of butter, that's all. It is not possible to imitate him. We have to work. And that's my motto. We have to work. Please sign up for service on Janmashtami, please. Especially parents, sign up for the children's activities tent and the bounce house. We really need you full. Every line has to be filled for those, or we can't do those activities, and we want the children to have fantastic memories of these festivals. Okay, today is Friday. There is Harinam in Gainesville. That's at 5 o'clock, the corner of 13th and University. Tomorrow, Saturday, Ladies Sangha at the Bhakti Bhavan. That starts at 9:30. You bring a one item for a potluck lunch. The Radharani Club is having their bake sale on Balaram Jayanti, and that starts at about 4 o'clock. Please, everyone bake one item and bring it, at least one item, and bring it to the table. And all the famous cooks and bakers of New Ramanreti will certainly have their items there, and it's worth getting there early and picking out what you like, because they make wonderful things, and it's always a treat to have them. There are proceeds from those bake sales. Buy an outfit and jewelry for the deities for at least one or more festivals every year. Let's see, Balaram Jayanti full schedule is on the door. It's on the bulletin board. It's in the newsletter and on the homepage, so be sure to check it out. The children will break the honey pot, or try to, at 6:15. If they break it, all the candy comes out. And then we take Krishna Balaram on procession at 5 p.m. sharp. Everything has to move on schedule because it is a Sunday program. So people are coming not even knowing what we're going to be having here that day necessarily. So we're going to leave the temple room right after the Artik and Kirtan, and the Kirtan will just continue outside. I'll have a few announcements first, and then we have a few houses that we're stopping at, and every place we stop, the devotees who live in those places are ready for Krishna Balaram, excited that they're coming, and they'll have an offering for them and for the devotees who are on the parikrama too. And then we wind up over at the Yagyashala at 6 p.m. for a homa, chanting the 108 names of Lord Balaram, and then the big, nice feast. Janmashtami schedule is also everywhere I just said, and we want you to check it out. Things change slightly. We have a play that day. We have dance with Anapayani, Gangi, and Prita, so that's rare to get these three ladies dancing at New Ramanreti anymore. You don't want to miss that, on the brand new gorgeous stage. And then we have traditional Indian devotional bhajans going for several hours on the stage also that night. On children's costume contest too, that's at 4:30. All the children who come will get a prize, and the winners get a super duper prize. And then Vyas Puja Day, we have, of course, the regular scheduled devotees will make their offerings to Srila Prabhupada, Pushpanjali, and then we have a feast. We come back later at 6 p.m. for a fabulous play that 25 people are in. Krishna is overseeing this wonderful play. I just read the script that it was adapted from a fantastic writing of Tamal Krishna Goswami, and I just read it. It was so amazing and beautiful. So I hope you can all be there for that. All right, here are the devotees who assisted their spiritual master addressing the deities today. Shishi Radha Sham Sundar Ramanya Prabhu, Chota Radha Sham Sundar Karineshwari Prabhu, Shishi Krishna Balaram Akuti Prabhu, Chota Krishna Balaram Manjari Sundari Prabhu, Shishi Gornitai Jai Gori Prabhu, Chota Gornitai Guru Prasad Prabhu, the Gurus and Lord Nrsingadev, Madhuri Gopi Prabhu. Nanda Prabhu is giving class. And by the way, the swinging is still going on, but it's at 6:30 in the evening, from 6:30 to 7, but it stops at 7. So I believe we gave some misinformation somewhere along the line. So just know, evening swinging, 6:30 till 7. Thank you. Questions. Thank you. Okay. I tingle. Gracias. Hare Krishna. Okay, Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Jasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajakacharya Asacharya Satyashri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem Shri Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shri Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Shri Radhashama Sundar Gopa Gopinath Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Glories to Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Kacharne Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Vaskita Desatarane. Hare Krishna, we're reading today from the 10th canto, chapter 47, which is the Song of the Bee. We're on text 18. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistaki. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should first offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and Srila Prabhupada, the translator and commentator. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering service unto the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Hare Krishna. So we're reading from text 18 today, and anyway, the tune is however it comes out, to the best of our ability. It's a little unusual meter that I'm not familiar with. Okay. Yad anucharita lila karna piyusa viprut. Yad anucharita lila karna piyusa viprut. Sadkrit adana viduta dvanva dharma vinashata. Satkrit adana vihuta dvanva dharma vinashaha. Sapari griha kutumbam dina ushrija dina. Sapari griha kutumbam dina ushrija dina. Vahava iha vihanga biyuksha charam charanti. Vahava iha vihanga biyukshu charyam charanti. Yad anucharita lilakarna piyusa viprut. Sakrit adana vihuta dvanva dharma vinashata. Sapari griha kutumbam dina ushrija dina. Bahava iha vihanga biyuksha charam charanti. Chinta lila karna piyusa viprut. Sakrit adana vivutad vanva dharma vinashta. Sakpadi griham kutumbam dina ushrijadina.
Bahava iha vihanga bhikshucharyam charanti.
Bahava iva vighana biyukshacharam charanti. It's not quite the verse. I know. It doesn't fit that I know. Anyway, anyone else would like to chant to the best of their ability for the pleasure of the Lord, in spite of the fact that you might not be so confident of the tune? You do it for the pleasure of the Lord. Prabhu?
यदनुचरित लीला कर्ण पीयूष विप्रो सकृत हदन विधूता द्वंद्व धर्मा विनष्टा
सकृत अदंदा विनुता द्वंद्व धर्म विनष्टा
सपदि गृह कुटुंबं दीनमुत्सृज्य दीना
सपदि गृह कुटुंबं दीनमुत्सृज्य दीना
बहव इह विहंगा भिक्षुचर्यां चरन्ति
बहव इह विहंगा भिक्षुचर्यां चरन्ति
यदनुचरित लीला कर्ण पीयूष विप्रो सकृदन विधूत द्वंद्व धर्मा विनष्टा
सकृत अदन विधूत द्वंद्व धर्म विनष्टा
सपरिगृह कुटुंबं दीनम् उत्सृज्य दीना
सपरिगृह कुटुंबं दीनम् उत्सृज्य दीना
बहव इह विहंगा भिक्षुचर्यां चरन्ति
बहव इह विहंगा भिक्षुचर्यां चरन्ति. Thank you very kindly. And I think I know the answer to this, but anyone else would like to chant? Okay, well, thank you. Word for, what's that? Yeah. Yat, whose, anucharita, constantly performed activities. Leela, of such pastimes. Karna, for the ears. Piyusa, of the nectar. Viprut, of a drop. Sakrit, just once. Adana, by the partaking. Vidhuta, removed entirely. Dvandva, of duality. Dharma, their propensities. Vinashta, ruined. Sapadi, immediately. Griha, their homes. Kutumbam, and families. Dinam, wretched. Usrija, rejecting. Dinaha, becoming themselves wretched. Bahavaha, many persons. Iha, here in Vrindavan. Vihanaga, like birds. Bhikshu, of begging. Charam, the livelihood. Charanti, they pursue. Translation in purport by Srila Prabhupada's disciples. To hear about the pastimes that Krishna regularly performs is nectar for the ears. Those who relish just a single drop of that nectar even once, their dedication to material duality is ruined. Many such persons have suddenly given up their wretched homes and families, and themselves becoming wretched, traveled here to Vrindavan to wander about like birds, begging for their living. I'm going to repeat it. If you'd like to, you can speak along. To hear about the pastimes that Krishna regularly performs is nectar for the ears. For those who relish just a single drop of that nectar even once, their dedication to material duality is ruined. Many such persons have suddenly given up their wretched homes and families, and themselves becoming wretched, travel here to Vrindavan to wander about like birds, begging for their living. Purport by Prabhupada's disciples. Material duality is based on falsely thinking, this is mine, and that is yours. Or, this is our country, and that is yours. Or, this is my family, and that is yours, and so on. In fact, there is one absolute truth in which we all exist, and to whom everything belongs. His beauty and pleasure are so absolute and infinite that if one actually hears about this absolute truth called Krishna, one's dedication to the illusion of mundane duality is spoiled. According to the acharyas, and certainly according to this with Sanskrit grammar, the last two words of the second line of this text may also be divided dharma avinashtaha. Then the entire line becomes part of a single compound, the meaning of which is that hearing about Krishna cleanses one of irreligious duality, and thus one is not vanquished, avinashta, by material illusion. The word dina is then given the alternative reading of dhira, meaning that one becomes spiritually sober and thus gives up attachment to fleeting material relationships. The word vihanga, birds, would in this case refer to swans, the symbol of essential discrimination. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes Rupa Goswami as follows in connection with this verse. Bhangya tyago chiti tasya kanganam apikedanat yatra sanushayam prokta tad bhavet abhijalpitam. When a lover indirectly states with remorse that her beloved is fit to be given up, such speech, uttered like the plaintive crying of a bird, is called abhijalpa. And that's from the Ujjvala Nilamani, chapter, whatever, division 14, text number 194. Oma gyana timirandasya jananjana salakaya chaksu umilitam jena tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. I was certainly born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master has so kindly opened my eyes. He's forced open my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge, and I'm eternally indebted to his lotus feet. Hare Krishna. So we're continuing with this very beautiful chapter, Srimati Radharani's talks or song to the bumblebee. And she is stating here in an apparent disdain that to hear about Krishna's pastimes will ruin your life. It's actually a similar presentation is made by Srila Rupa Goswami in the Nectar of Devotion in the 13th chapter when he talks about the 5 most potent forms of devotional service. And he says there, he's composed, in that chapter, he's composed his own verses. Usually throughout Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, or Nectar of Devotion, Srila Rupa Goswami is making a scriptural, he's making a statement, then he backs it up with scriptural quotes from the Bhagavatam, from the Puranas, from different parts of the scriptures. But in this 13th chapter of the Nectar of Devotion, Srila Rupa Goswami's taken the liberty to compose his own very beautiful verses, glorifying the 5 most potent forms of devotional service. So in that, the verse that I'm referring to is where he says, in apparent disdain, in apparent criticism, he says, if you want to keep your family connections. If you want to keep your material life going along the course that it's going on, then whatever you do, don't go look. The beautiful form of Shama Sundar, who's playing his flute beneath the Vamsi tree. Just whatever you do, don't look at him. Because if you do that, then everything will be turned upside down. All your hopes, all your love, all your attachment for this family, this body, this country, this society, whatever, will be turned upside down just once, looking at the beautiful lotus feet and the beautiful form of Shama Sundar, or Murli Manohar. Murli Manohar, by the playing of his flute, attracts the minds of all the living entities. So he also says that, and he also says in another one, in the glorifying the process of hearing, he also says, hearing the Bhagavatam, he said, if you're acting a little foolishly, you're acting a little detached from the material world, it seems like you must have had the Bhagavatam, the verses of the Bhagavatam, go into your ear. Because if those verses of the Bhagavatam, again, that hearing, if that goes into your ear, then one can't remain in the same state of material identification, identifying with this temporary world, with this temporary body, with these temporary attachments. So even though Srila Rupa Goswami says this with apparent criticism, Srila Prabhupada, he explains it very simply. He says, actually, he's glorifying the process of hearing. Actually, he's glorifying the process of chanting. But he says it in a way that's apparently sarcastic, critical. So similarly, this is Srimati Radharani's mood here in explaining and singing, chanting these very elevated verses with very elevated significance. She's so absorbed in the beauty, remembrance, nectarine pastimes of her association with Krishna that even though Uddhava's come to give a message to help relieve her suffering, her burning fire of separation from Krishna, who has now gone off to Mathura, so far away from Vrindavan, apparently. Don't get me on those technicalities later. He's apparently gone to Mathura, so far away that she's burning in the fire of separation. And Krishna, who's totally absorbed in love for her because of her love for him, he sent Uddhava to deliver a message to her and to all the residents of Vrindavan to try to pacify that fire of separation. And it's just what she wants to hear, a message from Krishna. No? She wants to hear something from Krishna. But yet when Uddhava comes to give the message, she's so absorbed in Krishna that she can't even pay attention to Uddhava. She gets distracted by this bee that's coming and buzzing around her feet, whom she's taking to be a messenger from Krishna. And so she's giving the bee instructions. That's how absorbed she is. That's how absorbed that here she's getting this life-saving message from Uddhava that's right from Krishna directly, her lover, directly himself. And she's so absorbed in this bee, thinking, oh, you're a messenger from Krishna too. So here she is saying that to hear about the pastimes of Krishna, that Krishna regularly performs, it's nectar for the ears. But if somebody relishes just one drop of that nectar, then their whole absorption in duality is ceased. So Bhagavatam, it starts out, so in the journey of the Bhagavatam, in the progression of the Bhagavatam, it's starting out in the earlier chapters of the Bhagavatam, explaining that completely the opposite what's explained here. In other words, explaining that for a materialistic person, they have so many things. They have so many things that they hear and chant about day and night. Everything. They're absorbed in everything, day and night. And, but it never, ever brings satisfaction. Never. Just the Prabhupada says, like the birds, they wake up in the morning and they're immediately thinking, where is food? Where is this? What's this? What's this? The person wakes up in the morning, if he happens to be in a mercantile mood, he's thinking, what's the price of this? What's the price of that? What's new? So all of us, everyone in the material world, they're totally absorbed in asking questions and hearing and never getting any satisfaction. So the Bhagavatam is giving us the solution, how to become completely satisfied in and attain the goal that we want, attain that peace, attain that happiness, attain that love and lasting relationship that we're looking for, because that's what we're looking for in the material world. Some sort of familial relationship, some sort of loving relationship, so many things that last, and everything's being interrupted time and time again. So, Sukadeva Goswami is saying that Shrotavya Dini Rajendra Nrinam Shanti Sahasrasa Apasyantam Atmatatvam Griheshu Grihamedinam. So for someone who's absorbed in the griha, the family situation, they're looking, they have so many things that they're attached to. But then he says later on, he says, Tasmad Bharata Sarvatma Bhagavan Ishvaro Hari Shrotavya Kirtitavyascha Smartavyas Chetitavyaham. If one desires to be free from those miseries, one must hear about, glorify, and also remember the personality of Godhead, who is the super soul, the controller and savior from all misery. So here we're getting already, just that verse is from the second canto, so already just in the second canto, we're getting the solution for how to get out of this situation that is just bringing us misery after misery. And that solution is that we must somehow or other hear and chant about the glories of the Lord. And if, as explained in this verse, even just one drop goes in the ear of that, in the person's ear, then that duality, that absorption in that duality is completely broken. So we have even in the third canto, Lord Kapila Dev is saying to his mother, upon seeing the charming forms of the Lord, smiling and attractive, and hearing his very pleasing words, the pure devotee almost loses all other consciousness. His senses are freed from all other engagements, and he becomes absorbed in devotional service. Thus, in spite of his unwillingness, he attains liberation without separate endeavor. So this process of hearing, it's such a basic process that, and described again, as mentioned earlier in that Nectar Devotion, it's described as one of the 5 most potent forms of devotional service. And if we indulge in hearing, if we practice it, if we somehow or other try to get a taste for hearing the glories of the Lord in some way or other, little drops every day, hearing about the Lord, then gradually, then we can see, even in our own lives, we've experienced and continue to experience that natural detachment that comes from material world. And how can one take advantage of the hearing? That's also described in the third canto, Satam Prasangam Mamavirya Samvido Bhavanti Hritkarna, again through the ear, Rasayana Kata, Tajoshanav Asvapavarga Vatmani, Shraddha, Ratir, Bhaktir, Anu Kramishyati. Krama means step. So just by gradual steps, Here's the translation. In the association of devotees, the discussion of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing. And it satisfies the ear and the heart. By cultivation of such knowledge, one is gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and therefore he is freed, and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begin. So how is that? Again, by that last line, Shraddha, by hearing constantly, our faith is increased. And while that Shraddha continually it grows and grows, then Bhavanti, Shraddha, Rati, then one gets a taste, and then Bhakti, one gets Krishna Prema, Anukramishati, gradually, step by step. So that Shraddha begins by hearing, by one faithfully hearing. And this is how this is our process. By gradually hearing, then that hearing becomes fixed, our faith becomes fixed, and our taste grows. And when that taste grows, then what is one of the results? One of the results is when one is actually totally absorbed and fixed in that loving prema, that loving mood that results, then, as quoted here by Srimati Radharani, one can naturally give up their connection to any other family or any other society or any material attachment. It naturally occurs that by becoming fixed in the process of hearing and chanting and loving and serving the Supreme Lord. There's a verse in the 11th canto. Yeah, 11th canto. Bhakti Pareshan Ubhavir Viraktir Anyatrik Chaicha Chaisa Trika Ekakala Prapadyamanasya Yatastanashu Tushti Pushti Kshudapayog Nugasa. That we can experience directly that taste and that detachment by taking part in the process of devotional service. So here, the 9 yogendras, one of the 9 yogendras is saying that devotion, direct experience of the Supreme Lord, and detachment. So which happens first? Devotion, direct experience of the Lord, and detachment. Here it's explained that those 3 things happen simultaneously by taking part in devotion. These 3 occur simultaneously for one who has taken shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the same way, and the comparison is in the same way as eating. When one has an intense or a very strong appetite, when they start to partake in the eating, you could try to analyze which is happening first. Are they getting relief from their hunger? Are they getting nutrition? Or are they getting satisfied? They're all happening all at once. So taking that example into our lives, that by hearing the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, gradually all of those things, a taste will develop, our faith will increase, we'll get direct experience, even if at this stage it's little experiences, but we'll get direct experience, and we'll become detached, automatically detached. It's different than renounced. Detachment is different than renounce in the sense of renunciation refers to renouncing something that we're taking pleasure in. But detachment means that's not a source of pleasure. It's a minor thing, just like whatever. In our younger age, we might have been taking so much pleasure in childish sports and activities, whether it's playing ball or whether it's playing with dolls or whatever, something. And now it's not even a question of, oh, let me renounce that. It's like, come on, we've gone on. It's not even a question of an attraction, usually. So similarly, in devotional service, we're given such lofty goals. We hear such lofty goals. complete detachment from the material world, renouncing our family, so many things. But that will come by immersion in the process of devotional service itself. And it's fortified. It's fortified and supported so much by the process of hearing. So somehow the other, if we mold our lives in such a way that this process of hearing can come into our consciousness, not just bouncing off the corners of our ears, but come into our consciousness, then by that hearing, that natural taste and connection with the Lord will shine forth, because it's there within the heart of every living entity. It's already there. Perfection, love of God, it's already there within the heart of the living entity. It's not something that comes from another source. Lord Chaitanya explained that so nicely to Srila Sanatana Goswami, 19th chapter, Madhya Leela. I forget which verse, but it's there in the 19th chapter. That love of Godhead is there within the heart of every living entity. It's not something to be gained from another source. And simply by this process of hearing and chanting over and over again, then that natural taste and love, that relish will awaken within the heart. So, that's a few thoughts on that. Hare Krishna. Anyone have something they'd like to add or some comments they'd like to make? Mooney? Oh, I'm just asking. Just in case you did, you know. You might have been too shy. Hare Prana Prabhu? You didn't get the name Mooney for nothing, you know, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
So if the end result is that one goes to Vrindavan and begs, then wouldn't that person be miserable because he has nothing to eat?
Could you just, hold on. So the end result, this is what I heard so far. The end result is that one goes to Vrindavan and begs. And then the rest was?
So wouldn't that person be miserable because he has nothing to eat, he has nothing? Is the end result misery?
The end result means misery. Yeah, because begging is really miserable. No, actually, thank you, Prabhu, for pointing that out. Just like if you take a look at a bird, is he ever miserable? Because Srimati Radharani said they're going to Vrindavan like birds to beg for their living. So they're always provided for. Prabhupada, he also, okay, the birds are, Krishna's always providing. Of course they're not miserable. How could they be totally miserable? Anyone who takes shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, they totally lose attraction, and they even, like in the example of the 6 Goswamis, they didn't even eat. But they weren't miserable because of it. They were so absorbed in the other realm, we could say, that their whatever actions were being done by the body were practically, totally being done automatically, as the example that's given in the 7th canto by Prahlad Maharaj. His bodily activities, he wasn't even aware. He wasn't even aware whether he had clothes on. He was like a drunken man because his consciousness was so far absorbed. But our conception that becoming a beggar and going to Vrindavan without a home, without a shelter, without a this, without a fixed income, without the comforts of life, that's our material conception that it's miserable. Just like our material conception is there that separation from your lover is miserable. But all of that is changed in those higher realms of devotional service, because as we're hearing, and many devotees have spoken on, Srimati Radharani's apparent misery and the residents of Vrindavan, apparent misery is one of the highest stages of ecstasy. That vipralamba bhav is that highest stage of ecstasy. So, analyzed without scriptural knowledge or analyzed in a material way, we think that it's misery, and we think that let me hold on tight to my hearth and home, and my whatever, that makes me feel secure, quote unquote. But what's secure in this material world? What's secure in this material world? Nothing is secure. Our life isn't even secure in this material world, because at any moment we could leave our body. So if we don't focus on that temporary asat, that false identification of the body and our false conception of what comforts are for the body, but if we focus on reality, this is reality, the supreme absolute truth and our service to Him, that's reality. If we focus on reality, then the highest inconceivable at this particular stage in our lives, in our conscious development, the highest pleasure that the pleasure that they're receiving is so elevated that it's inconceivable to us. Thank you. Prabhu? Or Mataji Prabhu? Lakshmi? No, Vaishnavi? Prabhavi? Mahamata?
I had two things, but since Hari Parayana asked and your answer, I just wanted to say, like, in both the exchanges with Krishna of Madhavendra Puri and Bilvamangal Thakur, Krishna comes to them in Vrindavan or wherever they are in Ramuna and says, I have to serve you. You're here and you have no one to bring you milk, or you have no one to bring you food, and in my village no one goes hungry. So he lives, we see in the Leela that what you said, that there's no want. But I wanted to ask about this idea of renunciation and detachment, which I think is pivotal, because many times, especially, many times even now, people tend to focus on becoming detached. And very often in our movement, it seems like it causes some trouble, that people aspire for a detachment that perhaps they don't have the adhikar. So how do we balance that apparent attraction for detachment, or renunciation perhaps, with developing love of Krishna and having it come naturally and not kind of causing misery or disturbance in the society?
Thanks. It's a nice point of conversation and thought. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his Madhurya Kandambanini, or however that's pronounced, he explains that this concept, like you mentioned that in our movement, the attraction for detachment, or the focus on detachment and even renunciation, sometimes causes disturbance. So that whole concept, that whole phenomena isn't a new thing that's just within ISKCON, because Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is commenting on that. And he's explaining how in the lower stages of devotional service, as one makes progress, one is often attracted to renounce. But usually what happens is then they're thinking, should I take sannyas? Maybe I should get married. Immediately there's the duality, you know? Or should I do this, or would it be better for me just to stay in my household situation? So it's, do you remember the Sanskrit term for that? Anybody? I can't hear you, whatever you said. Dvandva, no, it's something about unsteady bhakti. Anyway, whatever, it's unsteady bhakti. Our bhakti is unsteady. So how to, what to do about that? So it's it's always recommended that one proceeds with caution in devotional service. Just like there's another example in the Bhagavatam, how the caterpillar, when he's going from he's crawling along, and when he goes from one leaf to the next, he can't lift up one of his 100 little legs until he has one of his legs or two of his legs very firmly attached to the next leaf. So we have to make our progress in devotional service with care and caution, and be firmly situated, become more and more steady. How one does that, what comes to mind is our safeguard answer with Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, that one takes advice from the devotees, one consults the Shastra, and one guru. It asks the guru for guidance along the way. Does anyone else have any comments to add to that? Because it is a great thing that I'm sure we've experienced, thought of.
The example of the wife who has a paramour, but she doesn't let her husband ever know about that because she's fulfilling the duties of household life very wonderfully, but at the same time she's got this other lover. So
Jai, that's one example. Srila Dityaji.
Hare Krishna. I think sometimes we get so nervous and anxious to advance in spiritual life that we focus on the negative things. I have to become more detached, more renounced. But just like Srimati Radharani is talking about in this verse, if you just hear some nectar about Krishna, or like you were saying, quoting, if we just see the form of Lord Shyamasundar, then forget it, our material life is doomed. So I think, for myself, I like to try to focus on the positive, on the nectar, and I find that and it's not that we become lackadaisical about the other things. I mean, we have the regulative principles, they're there, we have our 16 rounds, we have, certain duties that are just built in that we do. But I think if we're focusing on the taste, because if we have the taste, then automatically those other things are naturally going to fall off of their own accord when we're ready. And that seems to be what I notice with other devotees and myself.
Yeah, thanks. Lakshmani, one second.
The one, you were bringing up the difference between renunciation and detachment. And one of the differences that I'm always aware of...
Can you hold the mic closer to your mic?
You were talking...
Mic, that one.
You were talking about the difference between detachment and renunciation. And one thing that stands out in that, to me, is that detachment means you don't like it and you don't hate it either. Whereas renunciation, it's like, I don't want that. But detachment is, if Krishna says fight, I'll fight, and if Krishna says don't fight, I won't.
Yeah.
So then we don't become so black and white about it. Maybe it doesn't become so problematic if we're genuinely detached.
Good, thanks. That's a good point. While he's bringing the mic over, also too, in our endeavor for spiritual progress, there's also the guidance of the super soul. Krishna, sometimes one might think I'm going to stay in my family, and all of a sudden Krishna takes it away. Hare Krishna, how did that happen? And sometimes one thinks I'm going to renounce, and Krishna puts blockages, in front of us. So Krishna's there also. The ultimate factor is the consent of the super soul. So I really appreciate your point, Srila Dita and Lakshmani Prabhu, that if we focus on the positive, then naturally all those other things go away. But we do have to be endeavor.
I was just going to follow up with another analogy.
Please.
The cup of ink. But to get rid of the ink, you just keep pouring in clean water.
Yeah.
And gradually, the ink will dissipate.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing here today. How fortunate we are.
We're so fortunate. Yeah. Ramya Prabhu, thank you, Prabhu. Ramya.
Well, as far as this discussion of detachment and renunciation, I guess what I've understood is, like, for example, in Prabhupada's life, we would say he became renounced, but he was focusing on his spiritual development. So he, at a certain point, minimized all the other activities that kept him materially engaged, because he made that choice that now is the time, I have the freedom to do so. Let me focus now and clear out all the other duties that somehow take our time during the day and during our life.
Very good point, and very well taken. And if we think of the whole system of the structure of society, the first 25 years you're in student life, and the next 25 years household life, and then most of us have reached that stage in our life that we really need to focus in, because the clock is really ticking louder and louder, you know, in this whatever much time. We need to focus in. So that's also a good, very good point. So thanks for bringing that up. We can't be neglectful. I forget what this nice Prabhu's name is. Jvara? Jvara. Thanks.
There's Guru, there's Shastra, there's Sadhu.
There's Shastra and Sadhu.
Shastra, Sadhu, and Guru.
And Guru.
What about the self?
And what about the self?
Don't we ever consult the self?
We consult the self.
Who is
Who is the self?
the self?
Well, thanks. That's also a good point. There's Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. But don't we ever consult the self? Yeah, sure. Who is that self? That self is that little jiva inside there that's covered over by tons of different identities. But if we identify with who we really are as that servant of Krishna, that's who we really are. That's our connection. That's who we really are. The details of who we are in relation to Krishna might not be revealed to us at this time, just like Lord Brahma. When he was sitting on top, sorry, it just came to me. When Lord Brahma was sitting on top of the lotus flower and he had his duty to do and he didn't know what to do and he heard the words tapa. And then he performed his tapasya for hundreds of years of the demigods, maybe 1,000, I think. And then the spiritual world was revealed to him. Sorry, I forgot the point why I was going there. The spiritual world, so Prabhupada says, Srila Prabhupada says when he's talking about that he offers his prayers and glorifying the Lord, Prabhupada said that all the conclusions of spiritual existence were not revealed to Brahma at that time, but some of it was, some of it was. So in our case, yeah, we can also see what we feel comfortable with, but we have and make our endeavor and make endeavor with our senses and our mind, our intelligence, and in the place that we're at. But we have to ultimately remember that the ultimate is the super soul that's giving sanction to all those activities.
So there's a difference between the self and the super soul.
There's definitely a difference. There's a big difference between the self and the super soul. There's definitely a big difference, and that's explained in Bhagavad Gita so that that we don't get confused and we don't think that little teeny spark of Satchidananda has the same quantity as that great super soul who has unlimited quantity, unlimited. But there's the little jiva and then there's Paramatma, the super jiva. So there's a very big difference between the self and the super self. Thanks for asking that question. Any other comments or questions? So just let's, again, try to focus in on our hearing and chanting by telling someone else something that we've heard about Krishna, that is. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Hare Krishna, glory to Srila Prabhupada and Srimad Bhagavatam today. What are you doing?